What is up, SVSers? Oh, no, Gary. Oh, just in the nick of time there. Wow, that was cutting it close.
What's up?
Welcome, everybody, to, I guess this is the platinum or diamond edition of the SVS Audiophile Happy Hour. Either way, it's been 75 episodes. I can't believe we're celebrating this anniversary.
I think that's platinum.
Insane.
Yeah, I saw diamond in the comments, but I've also read platinum online. I tried to do some research, and then
Diamond Jubilee is something.
Sapphire Jubilee. So either way, we're happy to be here for the 75th time, celebrating with our SVS community, platinum, diamond, or whatever anniversary it actually is. I know this is our favorite time of the week, so I'll just go around. Larry, how are you doing, my friend?
I am good. I'm home. Been on the road quite a bit, so I'm back here excited to be on here with you guys and geek out and have some fun and talk about movies.
Missed you, Larry. We haven't had you on for a while.
Yeah, I missed the last one. I was traveling somewhere, and then we had the Florida audio show in between there too. So yeah, and then having Ed back as well.
Yeah, it's been even longer for Ed. Ed, we're happy to see you're recovering. It's wonderful to have you there in the lower slot and bringing your sage wisdom as always.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to be back. I just had some minor surgery and taking a little bit longer to recover from it than any of us expected. But hey, I'm here and upright and taking nourishment, as we like to say. So it's great to be back.
Excellent. Well, welcome. And Gary, how are you this evening?
Well, you said it. This is my favorite part of the week. It's been a minute since we had a happy hour, so I'm really happy about this one. And we got all kinds of cool stuff going on, which I think we're going to get into a little bit, right?
Absolutely. I think we'll talk about the giveaways first, and then we may address the elephant in the room here in a few minutes. But as always, we have 3 awesome giveaways this evening. All you got to do to be eligible is to leave a comment. 1 million comments does not get you 1 million entries. You get 1 entry no matter how many comments you leave. But we love the conversations. We love the back and forth. So feel free to have little side conversations with our other community members here as well. And those 3 giveaways tonight, again, just leave a comment. You're eligible. We'll announce your names live on the air. And then Vince, our teammates working behind the scenes, will get those shipped out tomorrow. So we'll get you taken care of early next week. And Larry, what are those awesome giveaways we have this evening?
Like you said, they are awesome. And we're going to start things off with an SB1000 Pro subwoofer to kick things off. Then after that, a pair of Prime bookshelf speakers. And then to wrap up our evening, we've got a PB1000 Pro subwoofer with the SoundPath Subwoofer connection as well. So everything you need to get going.
Awesome. Well, we will get into our normal discussion of what we have been listening to recently. But Gary, I think there's some anticipation around an announcement that people may be waiting for as far as what SVS is going to bring. So I'm going to leave it vague at that and let you sort of dispel whatever you'd like to about this this breaking news.
Well, first of all, Nick, it's the worst kept secret in the audio business. So come on. We did show these. We showed our Ultra Evolution speakers at CES. Since then, we debuted them at Florida Audio Expo in Tampa, and I just went to Germany with Dan, who he's never been on the show, has he? I just went to Germany with Dan, and we met up with Thomas, who is our Senior Director of International Business Development. And we met with a bunch of German press and German dealers, and that was really cool. So, yeah, it's the worst kept secret in the audio business, but it's going to be a secret no longer. This Tuesday, March 26th, and the only reason we're not officially launching it today and telling you guys about every detail of these speakers is you won't have a way of going onto the site and learning more. And it just seems not the normal SVS transparency. We're so believing in transparency to our community. But what I can say is these are our masterpieces. They're our new top of the line speakers, Ultra Evolution. There are 3 towers, 2 bookshelves, an Ultra Elevation, and an Ultra Evolution center channel. There's all kinds of amazing stories, which we will talk about with you in the next happy hour. But what I can say is it has been, the reception of them has been more than I could have possibly hoped. I mean, from CES, where we're in a 2 million square foot giant barn, and playing these things in this noisy, cavernous place, and getting all this incredible feedback. And people are literally texting me from all over the world going, wait, what? Because it was kind of a surprise announcement. And then taking them to Florida Audio Expo and exposing them to all the audiophiles, which is even scarier, and getting just nothing but praise. I mean, it was really cool, excited praise for what they do in the price ranges they're in. And then maybe the scariest thing was to, get on a plane, fly all night to Germany, land at 7:30 in the morning, and then go do a press event right off the plane and play it for the German audiophile press and the top German dealers. And they don't necessarily want to hear speakers made in America. I mean, that's reality. Speakers from an American company, they're not that excited about that, and yet the reception was absolutely unbelievable. We had every dealer that was there committed to bringing them in, even gave, I guess, Thomas orders for them. The press was doing social media about them and praising them. So I'm real excited, and I can't wait to share them with you on Tuesday. I wish we had a happy hour on Tuesday, but Larry and I are going to be in Vegas, where I'm gonna gamble away Larry's firstborn at the crap table. No, we're going there for an industry event, and so we can't do the happy hour from Vegas. But the very next happy hour, we'll go get into all the details, I promise.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I did our first training on the product today too, and it was the reception from our retail partners has been just awesome.
Because there's a lot going on in those speakers technologically, so I can't wait to tell everyone about them.
Yeah.
Hey, don't give Ed. Somebody's giving Ed a tough time. He doesn't look excited. Ed was sick, guys, and he's back. We're so happy to see him back.
Somebody just asked if my beard has always been white. Well, it's been white for the last about 10 years, but at one time it was dark brown.
These people are grouchy. They're giving us all kinds of.
I finally took like 2 inches off my beard because it just got white as it got longer. So I was like, yeah, I'm not there yet.
The only thing, I got a little bit of dark left in my mustache, but that's it. It's okay. It's good to age gracefully.
Well, just to set expectations.
I don't know anything about that. I'm aging ungracefully.
Well, our next happy hour, where we will do a full-on overview of the new Ultra Evolution series, will be April 4th. Like Gary was saying, there's some travel next week that we'll be participating in, so we won't be able to do a broadcast then. But we are seeing your questions. There were some questions on the last broadcast and even the one prior to that. So we're taking note, and we'll address those. And there'll be some information out at that time. So if you have additional questions, we'll get deep and dirty into it, and we'll also have Smith Freeman, our chief designer, with us as well to really geek out, as Larry likes to say, on the new speaker tech. So very excited for that. So we actually have a surprise guest here. One opportunity that people are going to be able to hear our Ultra Evolution speakers is at Axpona, which is in April. And we're going to welcome for the third time back to the SVS Audiophile Happy Hour, Liz Smith. She's the vice president and event director of Axpona. And what a surprise. Nice to see you, Liz. How are you doing?
Doing well. Liz. Hey.
We're doing well. So we just wanted to have you on here quickly to talk a little bit about the show, since we're super excited. We're actually going to have 2 rooms at Axpona this year, and we are stepping up our 2-channel experience in a big way, which we'll talk about as we get a little bit closer. We're also going to have a home theater room doing our normal multi-channel surround sound demonstrations. But Liz, what else can people expect if they're coming to Axpona this year?
They can expect a lot. So we've got 3 days filled with basically all things audio. We have 200 listening rooms this year. Again, we have the ear gear experience is bigger than ever before. The expo hall has, we're seeing a lot more vinyl dealers this year. So we're kind of expecting that record fair area to have even more vinyl to dig through. Also the seminar program is fantastic. If you're looking for some education, take a break from listening. We actually have a pretty cool session that's going to be a case study on designing a listening room. So kind of taking that from start to finish with a client, a designer, and taking that through. So a lot of cool stuff going on, and concerts.
Very cool. And just to give the big picture details. April 12th through the 14th. That's in Schaumburg, Illinois, not far outside of Chicago. So you can get there from Midway or O'Hare. And this is the biggest audio show in North America. So I know it brings all sorts of manufacturers from around the world, demo experiences that you'll never get elsewhere. And of course, SVS is going to be there in a big way. So we're excited to participate as well.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you back. You guys always do a great job.
Well, thank you. And I believe we might have some tickets to give away. Am I correct?
Yeah, we love the SVS community and want to, share kind of like the Expo experience with you. So we're going to give you, I think, 5 pairs of 3-day tickets to give away to your community.
Awesome.
So you can check it out.
Well, that is amazing. We are so grateful, Liz, and we will be giving those tickets away on our social media channels. We didn't want to do it randomly like we do our normal giveaways because we want to make sure people can actually use them. So we'll be doing that tomorrow and later this week on our social channels. So stay tuned for that. 3-day tickets to Axpona. So anything else you want to tease about the show before we let you go, Liz?
No, I think that's it. It's just lots of, you guys have new products, tons of new products. It's just going to be a great listening experience. So hope a lot of you come check it out.
Well, we appreciate it, Liz. Always great to have you on. And we will see you in April with a lot of our community as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye, Liz.
All right. Hey, 5 3-packs. We're gonna make someone's day there. Maybe we'll have to do a little after hours, but we'll talk about that as we get closer. So let's stick with what we normally do because I have some great listening recommendations, and I'm going to give the highest recommendation I've ever given to a piece of content. But I'm going to leave that as a cliffhanger, and I'm going to start with you, Ed, since we haven't seen you in quite a while, and I imagine recovery, you maybe were able to tune into some new things. What have you been up to in terms of content?
A little bit of a throwback for me. I got into some 90s grunge rock when I was convalescing. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, STP. That was kind of a great era for me.
Gen X, dude.
What's that?
Gen X, man.
Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time sort of revisiting that genre. So that's where I've been musically.
Very cool. Gary, how about yourself?
I've been having so much fun listening, as I told you guys in previous. So I won't get into too much all the different stuff I'm rediscovering, but I will say 2 new. You don't call them discs anymore. What do you call them? I don't even know. Two new releases that I've really been enjoying are the new Ariana Grande album. She just kind of disappeared for a couple of years, and now she's back, and it's brilliant. But the really good one, the one that I really want to recommend, but by the way, in case you didn't know, here's Ed Osborne already saying it. That was my second one, Ed. The new Casey Musgraves is really, really good. If you don't know who Casey Musgraves is, she sings like an angel, and she's an excellent songwriter. If you're not familiar with her, maybe don't start with this new one, which is called Deeper Well. Go to Golden Hour, which is the one she did that shocked everyone. It won the Album of the Year Grammy. And for once, I agreed with the Grammy. It was really probably the best album of that year. So I'm definitely drilling deeply into Casey Musgraves music.
All right, Larry, let's go to you.
Man, so with all my travels, I've been watching a lot of stuff, and I finally got into Tokyo Vice on HBO, and it's fantastic, and the production design on it is top notch. It's really awesome. Almost caught up there. Ricky Stanicki on Amazon Prime. Totally awful, but John Cena worth it. Took my kids to see Labyrinth. They re-released it in theaters for a special event last weekend or the weekend before, did that. And then saw the movie Imaginary, which I had zero hopes for, but came out of it enjoying it. So I will tell everyone, go to see horror movies in the theater with a crowd and listen to everyone scream and kind of like stomp their feet when they're getting scared. There's nothing like it. And Madam Web, total garbage show. But, I had to see it. So, yeah.
And there's a concert coming up that I think you of all people should be most excited to promote, even though it's not a cheap ticket.
No, so anybody that follows us know that I very much enjoy Hans Zimmer and everything he does, and he just announced his first tour in like a decade, 7 or 8 years for the United States, and tickets have gone on sale today and tomorrow. So I am very much watching that. He's coming to Fort Worth, close to where I am in the DFW area, so I'll be going and either buying tickets today or tomorrow after I see the other pre-sale stuff that goes on. So I'm
I imagine
really
that's got to be the
the soundtrack from Gladiator, it just never gets old. I can listen to that over and over again. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, they got to do the full orchestra with that, right? Like,
everybody, you know, the Blu-ray, that's who's touring with them. I can't wait. I nearly bought tickets today, but I was like, more tickets get released tomorrow. So we shall see. And I have tickets for Creed and Three Doors Down later in the year too. Right now, it's the only tickets I have for anything. So
my wife texted me, "Hey, we can go see Casey Musgraves on your birthday."
Whoa!
And I'm like, I'm in. So we got tickets. It's actually in Baltimore the Saturday night of that DC Audio Fest. What's it called? Whatever it's called.
Capital Audio Fest.
Which we're thinking about doing, but we'll figure it out, I guess.
Very cool. Well, I finished 2 different series, sort of date shows with my wife, which she really enjoyed. Monarch and Griselda, which was a recommendation from you, Gary. But Monarch was actually, you know, I think people hear it's like the backstory to Godzilla, and they're like, oh, that's going to be terrible. It's got great acting. It's got great character development and, you know, good sound. So I had a great time enjoying it. And my highest recommendation of any show that I've ever seen, and I've seen buzz about this, and I'm going to make it a mission. What's that, Gary?
Drum roll?
Drum roll, maybe. And if anyone from Apple or Apple TV is listening, I want to get somebody from Apple TV on to talk about this. Earth sounds. I love nature documentaries as it is, but this is an entire 12-part series dedicated to sounds in nature, everything from mating calls to like how they use sound to catch prey. And when you have a multi-channel surround sound system, it's like you're literally in the rainforest or you're underwater with orcas. And it's like just this completely immersive experience. And I've completely loved Earth Sounds. I watched it with my family. They all dug it too. Obviously, having a great system will make it that much better. But they even go into like the last 10 minutes of each episode talking about what kind of technology they use to record these animals and get this close to, you know, a lizard that's, you know, using sonic waves to catch bugs underground, or, you know, how a humpback whale makes his mating call project for 18 miles. Like, it's just crazy, the level of detail they go. So if you're into nature and you like, you know, great things about sound, check out Earth Sounds, and you won't be disappointed. So that comes with my highest recommendation. And then what's dropping soon is 3 Body Problem. This is it's based on a series of novels, the only novels that I've ever read twice all the way through. But it's sort of very sci-fi by the makers of Game of Thrones. And it's supposed to have incredible production value. And it's just a super fascinating story. The technology can be kind of hard to follow when you're in, you know, reading the books, but I'm excited to see how they translate it to the big screen. So I will be watching that as soon as it's out. 3 Body Problem. So those are my highest recommendations.
I was looking forward to that one too. And then the new Roadhouse movie dropped today, which we'll see how Jake Gyllenhaal does. I just want to see him beat up what's his butt from the UFC.
There you go.
Conor McGregor.
There's also the new season. If you want to know what I'm looking forward to, which I would never have believed I would even be saying this, but that Hobbit one that was on Amazon Prime was actually really, really well done and good, and it made me like the characters.
The Rings of Power.
What's it called?
The Rings of Power, I think it is.
I think that's what it's called. And I thought it was just really, really good, really well produced. And I wasn't sure. It seemed like such a big production value that maybe they wouldn't renew it, but they did. And I think the new season's coming out in a few weeks.
Very good. Well, I think we're due for our first giveaway of the evening, which is a SB1000 Pro subwoofer. That is compact dynamite right there. And the winner of that is Mr. Scott Ulmer. Scott Ulmer.
Yay, Scott.
Congratulations. Got yourself a new subwoofer. We do have a couple other event announcements that I should probably lay out here before we get into our lightning round and the big playlist reveal too that we promised people. This weekend, SVS will be at the Montreal Audio Fest. So if we have anyone from the great country of Canada in that general
somebody in
region,
the comments was asking why we weren't there. So Nick,
I guess I'm not doing a good enough job promoting it. Well, we're actually going to be working with some of our Canadian partners up there, so it won't be the the full-on SVS, but it's going to be a room packed with demos and content and static. So we'll have all sorts of phenomenal stuff to experience in Montreal at the Audio Fest. So we will be there, but it'll just be me, not the normal crew who's expected at some of these shows. But we're very excited to go up there and present to Canada our new Ultra Evolution series. So that'll be exciting.
Nick, lots of comments here about Taylor Swift. Like they're mad that we're not talking about the Taylor Swift is on Disney Plus, but I actually renewed my Disney Plus just so I could watch it again. I think it's
how many times have you watched it?
I don't know how it is
Gary?
on Disney Plus, but
you haven't watched it. I'm curious how many times.
I know I watched it. You probably weren't on that show, Larry. That was when you were skipping all our happy hours. I watched it when you could only rent it. You couldn't buy it. You could only rent it for 48 hours. And my wife and I watched it, and I thought it was absolutely spellbinding, that good. So if you have any, if you're even close to liking Taylor Swift, I would totally recommend watching it.
And here I thought we could get through an entire broadcast without
I'm sorry.
Swift reference. And,
I apologize.
Maybe next, maybe the Ultra Evolution broadcast. Although if we're talking about voicing, I think maybe there was a Taylor Swift involved with that too. But all good. That's they actually did well, I won't go into it. So
have you heard this duet that Taylor Swift did with Eminem? Just came out. I think it just came out. I'm like, no one knows about this. Very strange.
That's worlds colliding right there.
I know, right?
It happened 20 years ago. Well, some of you may know we did a little bit of a social promo giveaway in the last month where we wanted to build the ultimate subwoofer demo playlist, and we wanted to curate it from suggestions from our SVS community. So that has already wrapped up. Congratulations to Joseph R. from Detroit, Michigan, for winning the SB2000 Pro, which was part of that contest. The track that he had suggested was How You Like Me Now by The Heavy, which does have a great bass line to it. Yeah. So congrats to him. But we've assembled this playlist on YouTube, Spotify, Qobuz, and Amazon Music. We're still working on iTunes and Tidal. It wasn't as easy to get this transferred over to that. But what we're talking about is 465 songs representing over 35 hours of listening. So you could start it right now and you wouldn't even be done with it until the weekend of listening to these favorite bass tracks. And again, we will
be out of warranty by the time you're done listening to it.
That's very possible. But it's a great mix. I mean, I would say it's heavy on the hip hop and the classic rock. But there's a good amount of EDM mixed in there, some Massive Attack, some Bass Nectar, stuff like that. There's also Billie Eilish and, of course, the aforementioned T Swift is
classic rock on a bass
on there as well.
Yeah,
but it's really,
up. How about Crystal Method?
Bass lines. There's some Crystal Method on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to post the links in the comments here, but tomorrow we're also going to post the links on all of our different social channels as well. So you can access them there. But if you can see them fly by in the comments here in just a minute, you'll see these links and hopefully you'll be able to click on them. But this is our, I guess, one of our playlists that, we've uploaded into YouTube. It's got over 5 million streams on it. So we're hoping this becomes like the ultimate test. And obviously we can keep adding to it and we might down the road. But I did want to make this announcement and let people know that it's available now. And thank you for all those suggestions. I mean, we were just blown away by the amount of interaction that this got. So thank you to our community for helping us build such a phenomenal playlist. We appreciate that. So a couple other quick announcements. Smith Freeman, our chief product engineer, and myself will be appearing on the Bright Side Home Theater podcast tomorrow night. I know a lot of you guys know that show, so you can check us out there, talking a little bit about speaker design, but not getting too much into the nitty-gritty of that. So that'll be happening tomorrow. Like I mentioned, we'll be at the Montreal Audio Fest this weekend. And then I guess the dealer event you guys will be at is not open to the public, so that won't be something you can go to. But we will be coming with some more event announcements very soon. So stay tuned for that. I believe we can jump into some Q&A now, guys. If you're ready, are you ready?
Yeah, there were a lot of people asking where to find a playlist. If you missed it in the chat, we'll be posting it tomorrow across the social platforms too.
Yeah, I put the links in here, but I don't even know if they're clickable when I post them in the comments.
Yeah,
so we'll make sure.
so
Actually, right after the broadcast, I'll throw them up onto our Facebook page and our Twitter, and then we'll get them everywhere else. Create a
Somebody in the comments says the YouTube link is only to a single song, so just be aware.
Well, we'll get that squared away. I knew it wouldn't be perfect posting them in the comments, but we have all the playlists fully built out, and we'll make sure that those get shared on our different channels here in the next coming days.
Saw a couple comments or questions whizzing by in the comments too. Some good ones. Maybe we can grab some of those.
Ed, take away if you want. If you got one you want to.
Well, I saw someone saying they have a Yamaha AV receiver, and when they run YPAO, which is their setup program, the subwoofer distance comes back at 13 feet, and it's 8 feet actual. And is this correct or not? So what this is there's a little bit of DSP latency in the amplifier for processing the signal. It's about 5 milliseconds, and that is responsible for the extra distance that the AVR reports for the subwoofer. So it's normal. Don't try to change it. And that's what that's for.
Excellent. Well, here we have an Ultra Evolution question that I think we can answer now. Steve K asks, will our team be ready to talk about these new speakers if they inquire about them before Tuesday, so they are ready to order that first moment? Ed, maybe that's for you.
Well, first of all, everybody's asking, when are they going to be available? I guess we didn't do a good.
Well, people come and go. They come and go. So
yeah,
it's worth announcing it over.
So Tuesday, March 26th, this Tuesday, less than a week away.
But Ed, to that Stephen's question, I believe the answer is yes. I mean, your team knows what's coming, and they can answer questions ahead of time. We just can't place orders yet. Is that fair to say?
Of course. Yeah, we're fully 100% up to speed on the entire Ultra Evolution line. We're excited to sell it and to answer any technical or product questions you may have, applications where one might work better than the other. So, bring your questions to us, bring your system, your application, and we'll figure out what's going to be best for you and get you into an amazing experience.
Wonderful.
All
right, we have
a lot of questions coming through on Evolution. Well, I promise you all we will answer them, if not tonight, but like on the next happy hour.
What happens when you let the elephant in the room? Everyone, there's an overflow, but we'll promise we get to these, and we'll have everything prepped for April 4th for that dedicated episode. So we do have a subwoofer app question from Wardo. He wants to know if boosting the EQs within the subwoofer control app that SVS has is the same as increasing the sub's master volume.
Well, it's not, because if you create a parametric equalizer, it has 3 components. It has the frequency, the boost or the cut value, and then the Q value, which is the bandwidth. And because the filter has a fairly narrow bandwidth, you're only boosting that portion of the frequency band and not the whole volume of the entire subwoofer. So that's the difference between the two.
There you go. Well said. We have a question from Jim S. He wants to know, do you believe that using different amplifiers and receivers actually can make your speakers sound different?
Totally.
I can speak for Gary.
Yeah, so there's certain brands. I can walk into a room where our speakers are, and I can immediately tell typically what the brand is of the receiver. And that's just because of the sound profile that I feel that those other receivers have. And it's part of why we tend to use 1 or 2 brands specifically at all of our events, because they have a very neutral sound profile. But there's certain brands of receivers or amplifiers that maybe have like a warm or brighter tone to them. Others may be a little more neutral or flat. So it can totally change. And if you've listened to a particular brand of receiver for a long time and you change your speakers from one brand to another, you'll hear that too. You'll be like, oh, I don't think it's quite what the other one was. So Sometimes it can be the brand, and I won't call any particular brands out, but most of us use one particular brand too.
Well, and I think the really important question here, which I do get asked a lot, is, do I need high-end electronics to make my speakers sound their best? And it's an excellent question. And we often get asked, hey, do I need to connect your speakers with high-end electronics, or is it okay for me to just use what the industry calls mid-fi, a mid-fi receiver or affordable integrated amplifier? And I think great speakers should be drivable by a receiver. I'm not talking about like these $100,000 speakers, but good speakers should be drivable by a normal mid-fi receiver. But and I see this all the time with SVS speakers. If you have higher end gear, if you have really good separates or a really high performing preamp processor, the speakers should show the excellence of the ancillary gear and respond with better sound. So you don't have to spend tons of money on your ancillary gear. It shouldn't be required. It is not required with SVS speakers. But if you do have high performance ancillary gear, you will hear the benefits of that with high performing speakers like SVS speakers.
So here's sort of a related question from Adam P. He wants to know, what is the best amount of power to feed the Ultra Towers? I mean, we list a range of specified amplifier power. So what goes into, if you have all things being equal and you have an unlimited budget for any kind of component, is there like an ideal amount of power to feed them? Is it just the highest amount, or how do you figure that?
Well, if you have a 20 watt per channel tube amplifier, they're going to sound great with that. So a lot of it is related to what you're trying to accomplish. If you want to play super loud, then you probably want 100 watts or more outboard power amplifier, or a really higher end receiver. I have I don't have Ultra Towers in there now. Now I have Ultra Evolution Towers, Ultra Evolution Pinnacle Towers. But they have a 300 watt per channel Mark Levinson power amp. That's pretty nice ancillary gear. And they are absolutely reflecting the excellence of that, but they don't have to have it. Larry at CES in this 2 million square foot cavern, Larry had them hooked up with an affordable Marantz receiver, right, Larry?
Yeah, it was a Denon 4700.
Oh, Denon, sorry.
So, middle of the road, $1,300 or whatever it is. We do tend to use Denon Marantz at most of our events.
Yep.
And I've used Yamaha, I've used the Sony 7000. We use some other brands for 2-channel products. So we've got them all figured out. It's just I definitely have a preference, and I know some of us within the company do too, just based on kind of the sound profile that we're accustomed to. But I will tell you, listening to the Evolution line, I won't go into it's different. And we had a learning curve, all of us. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, but how much difference there is between our previous line or other speakers in our lineup to the new ones too.
But they are timbre matched, just to say.
Yes, and I was going to bring that up. Somebody's asking. So all the speakers, including the new Evolution line that's coming, will be timbre matched to your previous SVS speakers.
Somebody's saying, I need Gary's budget. Hey, come on. This is what I do. This is my job. It's not fair.
Gary's got friends in high places too. So
that's true. I don't know about friends. I did get that from a friend.
How about friends in hi-fi places?
There you go.
Narrow down a
good way to put it.
All right, we have a Prime Wireless Pro question from Thomas T. He's debating whether he wants to buy a pair of Prime Wireless Pro powered speakers or the Prime Wireless Pro Soundbase with a pair of bookshelf speakers. And he just wants to know what goes into that thought process. Is there difference in capabilities or sound quality where one would be a better experience than the other in terms of choosing between those two?
Well, if I'm looking at it, I'm going to do the powered bookshelves if I'm doing like a desktop table solution, or maybe putting on the side of a television, or just for a small system. But if you did the amplifier separate with a pair of larger bookshelves, maybe like our Ultra bookshelves, you would come away with a little bit more in regards to frequency range and capability. But right now I use the the Prime Wireless Pro for almost all of my listening when it comes to music, if I'm not on the big system downstairs. And it's really hard to beat, even at something that's around the $3,000 or so price point too. So you've got a lot of options there, a lot of connectivity, ease of use, AirPlay, Chromecast, HDMI, Bluetooth is there, but we don't really want you using it. And then the front panel display too. So it's more of, if you look at the cost versus amplifier and speakers versus all-in-one, is some of the convenience factor there too.
Yeah,
the Prime Wireless Pro speakers are shockingly good. I mean, that's what I'm going to say.
Well, I was going to mention the active crossover, the digital crossover. I mean, that's a big difference between what you get from the powered speakers versus the Soundbase and Bookshelf. So, well, I mean, what does that add, or
Yeah, and that's a great question, Nick, because when you have there is a built-in advantage to a powered speaker. If you're in the range of a Bookshelf speaker, the built-in advantage is, instead of having the sound signature controlled by a what's called a passive crossover, meaning the amplifier drives power into the speakers, and then the power gets divided between the drivers via a passive crossover. Instead, we have an active crossover driven by DSP, and so we have the ability to control what's coming out of that cabinet almost to the molecular level, and so we can really shape the experience. And I have a pair of, I think calling them a desktop speaker isn't fair. They're better than that. I have a pair in my office, but not on the desk. They're on a pair of relatively high-end stands, and they sound so great. They image all over the place, and considering all you need is your phone. You don't need an amplifier. You don't need an integrator. Nothing. They're just your phone, plug them in, and they sound really, really special. That's really been a fun product for us.
So we have a quick one here from Mark S. He's asking, will the new Ultra Evolution speakers be at the Home Entertainment Show this year in Costa Mesa, California? I can confirm that Larry and I will be there, and we will be playing them with our souped up new 2-channel system and in home theater. So if you're out on the West Coast, plan your trip to Costa Mesa. I believe it's first or second week of June.
And they're asking whether it'll be at Expona as well. And yes, we will have them at Expona as well in Chicago.
And at M-Wave in Kansas City for you all that are in that market. I saw a bunch of people asking about that too. So we got a lot of shows.
Yep. And then, there'll be more announcements coming too. So stay tuned. This is not the end of the road as far as the events we have planned. So we have a question about the Prime Center. Chad G wants to know how much clearance is required for behind the SVS Prime Center because of the ports. Can it be wall mounted, or what is the ideal scenario?
You can mount it on the wall. Best practices is to stay about 1 port diameter away from a boundary. So, I'm going from memory. I think that has about a 1.5 inch port. So, I mean, really, you can get pretty close to the wall without any issues at all. I think it's more important to state that any center channel should not be pushed into like a cubby hole in an entertainment center, because then you get some baffle diffraction and some bouncing around of the sound. You always want to pull the center channel forward, make sure it is at least level or slightly forward of any boundary or platform that it's on, and then you minimize edge and baffle diffraction.
So another speaker placement question, and I think this is one of those where it sort of depends, but we'll see. Claude asks, how far apart should your main speakers be? And I believe this has something to do with where your seating position is, but what's the general rule of thumb when it comes to distance between your front, left, and right?
I've opened the floor to anyone to answer what they think. But one thing I have found when I go to people's houses and just hanging out is they almost always move the speakers too far apart. So if you have, and you're kind of thinking, well, if they're really far apart, then I'm going to get lots of really stereo sound. What you want is an equilateral triangle, if you remember from your high school geometry or probably middle school, meaning the distance from your listening position to each speaker is the same as their distance from each other. that's probably the perfect way. Now, why do you want that? Well, the speakers not only need to project stereo-ness to you, like I hear left, I hear right, but they also want to work together to create what we call a sound stage. And if they're too far apart, they won't create a sound stage. So even as close as 6 feet apart is a good thing to do, even if your listening position is further away, because you will hear a sound stage. And the way I describe sound stage, it's seeing where the instruments or the musicians are with your ears, seeing where they are with your ears. The two speakers working together create that.
So along those lines, or Ed, did you have anything to add, or did that cover every bit of wisdom you would impart?
And equilateral triangle has always sort of been the gold standard that we all start with, and I sometimes, if there's a center channel in the system, I might bump the fronts a little farther apart to get a little bit more of a wraparound. But for 2-channel, I think Gary nailed it. Equilateral triangle, or even sometimes a little bit closer. And
yep,
I think we should talk about maybe toe in a little bit too versus straight on. I know Gary's
talk about what is toe in. Just describe what it is.
Yeah, either the speakers are facing straight forward or they're slightly turned in. So the tweeter and drivers are a little bit more on axis.
You're kind of aiming it at the listener.
Right, yes. And that affects the frequency response of the speaker. If you toe it in versus it firing more straight forward or past your ears, it can affect how the speaker sounds. It is a personal preference, but almost everyone I know does toe in the speakers a little bit. So that's a tip you can experiment with as well.
I mean, I've played with all our speakers until Larry and Nick know this because they're with me a lot of the time. And I always find toe in to be the best thing. Just a very modest toe in. Just
nothing crazy.
Let's do another. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say my Prime Wireless Pro are literally, I can reach them with my arms here on the sides, and they're towed in just a bit, but I hear everyone coming directly screen center here in front of me. So
yep, same here.
It's the imaging on them is amazing.
Well, somebody's going to be able to tow in a new pair of Prime bookshelf speakers, which is our next giveaway.
Good segue, dude.
I mean,
that was well done, Nick.
That's why I'm the MC, and you guys are the knowledge.
Hey, we've done 75 of these bad boys.
We're just your employees. We're just worshiping at your altar.
I wish. All right, so the winner of our Prime bookshelf speakers is Dan Schuler. Dan Schuler.
Yay, Dan!
Congratulations.
I got Vince, our colleague working behind the scenes. He'll get your information, email you, and we'll get shipping to make sure we can get those to you in short order. So congratulations to Dan Schuler, winner of the pair of Prime bookshelf speakers. So we were talking a little bit about speaker placement. This is a question that comes in from Frank K. His center channel is about 1 foot closer than his left and right main speakers. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, home theaters, they know that the perfect placement is almost, there's probably 1 in 10 where the placement of the speakers is perfect. And even a modest home theater receiver has room correction that would adjust for that. Ed, you're really more the expert than anyone on this Zoom.
Well, sure. When you run auto setup in the AV processor, one of the things it does is time align all the speaker channels. So if the center channel's a foot closer than the front, left, and right, that's totally compensated for by the AV processor. And it also level matches all the channels as well. So don't worry about that at all. And the sophisticated electronics will take care of that.
So E. Rue wants to know, is he going to notice any difference in sound quality running 8, 6, or 4 ohms to his speakers?
No. It's kind of a speaker impedance is sort of misunderstood by many people. We do rate the nominal impedance of a speaker at, like, say, 4 ohms or 6 ohms or 8 ohms, but the impedance changes with frequency. It doesn't really impact the sound quality of the speaker in and of itself. So it's nothing to worry about. And a well-designed speaker can be driven, like Gary said, by any mid-fi electronics. So I wouldn't worry too much about the impedance value.
Yeah.
We have
I want to hit this. There was one that came in that I put in our little chat. Somebody was asking about their room correction when they ran Odyssey, kept setting their subs to -12. And I'll tell you right off the bat, 100% of that problem is they're too loud when you are running your Odyssey room EQ. And I saw the model of receiver they listed doesn't do subwoofer level matching to start. So a good rule of thumb, if you're using a receiver and you're going to start doing room correction with any subwoofers, turn it to around half volume or just above half before you start your room correction. Because the question that came in was like, I'm running the subwoofer and the Denon keeps putting it to -12 and taking away everything from it. And what that is the subwoofer is just simply too loud when you're running room correction, and the receiver's like, oh man, that's too much bass. Let me take all that away. And so if you turn down your sub prior to running your room correction, that will take care of that. And
the reason -12 is what's being kicked around as a value is that's the minimum value for the channel trim in Denon and Marantz receivers. It can't go any lower than that. So when it pings the subwoofer, if the subwoofer is too loud and it's unable to level match the subwoofer with the speaker channels, it turns it all the way down to -12 and it still can't level match it. That's a big red flag. And that's what people are looking for and saying, hey, what does this -12 mean? It means the subset so loud that the receiver literally is unable to level match it with the speaker channels. So turn the sub down and run it again and make sure it comes back at something other than -12. And then that will be your starting point. And that's all it is. It's a level match starting point. If you want to bump the sub up afterwards, which is very common, that's fine. And you can reach out to our team for some specific guidance in that respect.
Okay, we have a couple questions about going wireless. William G wants to know, is there any sound quality loss if he goes wireless with something like our SoundPath wireless adapter with his PB16 Ultra? Is he going to notice a degradation in sound quality?
There's no degradation in sound quality, but you do want to rerun auto setup because there is a slight time delay. It's latency for the wireless audio adapter. They all have that. And when you rerun auto setup, the AV processor will perceive that and simply compensate for it as a longer subwoofer distance. And that's totally normal. So if your sub distance comes back at a value that's much longer than actual, and you're running a wireless audio adapter, it's very normal. And don't try to fix that.
So a similar question I think you kind of answered from Carl H. He wants to know if there's a time lag if you mix wired and wireless speakers and what you can do to solve that. I think you more or less answered
wired
that.
and wireless subwoofers, and
he said speakers.
Well, with wireless and wired subwoofers, we can talk about that one. We don't recommend it because the wireless audio adapter will have more latency than the wired subwoofer, and that makes it very difficult for the AV processor to time align both of them. So we always recommend running wired or wireless. Don't mix the two, again, because it can create time alignment issues.
Here's a question that sort of loaded, and you can answer it as you see fit. Steve wants to know: can having too many subs in your room ever be a bad thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. I guess I would. You would say, you could tune them so that they aren't a bad thing. But why somebody would get more than, for example, 4 subwoofers is completely lost on me. I think 2 is usually. I mean, Ed's going to disagree with me because he's Ed and he really has very high. But I think 2 is 2 takes care of 80 to 90% of the room problems that you can have, and that's all you need.
There's been lots of studies over the years, and what Gary's driving at really is what we call a case of diminishing returns. Going from 1 subwoofer to 2 is a massive improvement, and then jumping from 2 to 4 yes, there's a denser standing wave pattern. You get smoother bass at more spots, but it's much less of a jump going from 2 to 4 than it is going from 1 to 2. So as Gary says, duals is the sweet spot for many enthusiasts and is a 95% plus solution for smooth bass in the room.
And if you have an unlimited budget, then I suppose you could get unlimited numbers of anything. But most of us don't have an unlimited budget. So with two excellent subwoofers, maybe you put the rest of the budget into speakers and things like that. Or
yeah, you can make some really uncomfortable furniture with subwoofers.
There you go. Especially with the in walls. And I don't know, posted a video a couple days ago about our Brazilian distributor who put 13 of our 3,000 in-wall subwoofers behind a acoustically transparent screen. And it was quite a spectacle. They used the new Trinov processor. So that's about as extreme as you can get. So if you're in the São Paulo area and you happen by Audio Gene, that's one of the most intense experiences you can get with 13 of our in-wall subwoofers all in one application. So,
and by the way, they're making a technology statement. They're having fun and showing something. I mean, that's great. I think it's fun, and I'm so proud that they chose us, our subwoofers. But it's truly just a technology statement, not something where we expect. Well, if you want to buy 10 of our, or how many was it, Nick?
13. Lucky 13. Which I don't know how they settled on that number. Like maybe 12 was not enough and 14 was too many, but it's really a lucky number.
Well, it was specific to the Trinov waveforming technology, which requires multiple subwoofers on both walls to function correctly. So that's really what was driving that process. It's not that you normally would need 13 subwoofers. It was specific to waveforming.
So can we diverge into go ahead, Larry?
I was going to say I wanted to go into a question that came up, and I think it's something that would benefit a lot of people. It's questions around prime wireless speakers and the sound base, whether it's Pro or the first generation. They're asking about listening to like Tidal or Qobuz or Amazon Music and saying they were doing that over Bluetooth, and if there'd be a better quality if they went through other channels. So if you have the Generation 1 Prime Wireless or Soundbase, or you have the newer Prime Wireless Pro or Soundbase Pro, and you listen to any streaming services like Qobuz, Amazon Music, or Tidal, or Spotify, or whatever, you should absolutely open up the DTS Playfi app, which is part of that. And it's free. You connect to it. And within Playfi, the way to think of it is think of Playfi as like an umbrella, and under that are all the streaming apps that you would use, all the music streaming services. And you open your music streaming service within there, and you automatically are going to be steps above Bluetooth, but you can also take advantage of the high-res listening that those services offer. So you will hear the best absolute sound quality going that route. Or if you have the newer products that have AirPlay, that would even be a step up over it. But when I'm doing training or we're at an event, we list Bluetooth as the last line where you go at the very end of everything, because it would be like taking a step back from all the high-res streaming we're doing now and throwing a cassette in there. Would be the best way to really kind of put that into terms for everyone.
Friends don't let friends listen to Bluetooth.
I like that. We need to make that a shirt, dude.
It's a bumper sticker.
So, especially with Prime Wireless Pro, because we have AirPlay and Cast, Bluetooth is not only is it not CD quality, it's a little bit better than what used to be called MP3. And maybe one day, I hear all the time there's going to be lossless Bluetooth. At that point, great. But now, even if you don't use the Playfi app, with Prime Wireless Pro, you can use AirPlay if you have an iPhone. You can use Cast if you have an Android phone, and that is CD quality. And CD quality is way better than Bluetooth. And
you notice it immediately, like literally the first note, like you're like, okay, now I know what I was missing. It's very noticeable.
It is not something subtle. I actually had this argument with my wife. I'm like, please stop using Bluetooth. And she's like, okay, prove it. And I'm like, okay, here, all you got to do is do this. And now you're listening with AirPlay. All I did was just say, look, just choose it as an AirPlay thing instead of, you don't have to learn the Playfi app if you don't want to. And she immediately heard the difference. It was like not even close.
And the difference between Bluetooth and CD versus CD and high res is drastically more improvement. Like you definitely notice that, you know, some more nuance and detail when going from CD quality to lossless or ultra high res, but it's not what it is going from Bluetooth to
and
CD
another big issue with Bluetooth.
Right. I agree with you, Nick. That's a good comment.
Most devices, if you've got a family of 5 or 3 or 4 or whatever, or just a couple in your house, if one of you is connected to Bluetooth, the other one's not. You typically have to go reset the Bluetooth connection on a device so somebody else can use it. So with AirPlay, my wife could be listening to something in a room and I can actually take it from her, which is kind of fun. So if I want to annoy her and she's listening, that's a fun way to go about doing it. Just to put that out there for you all.
It's on your Wi-Fi network.
Yep.
So another quick one from
that is a great point, though. What Larry says, when you're doing it over one of the Wi-Fi technologies, it is like it's more of a family thing. That maybe this isn't a normal thing for every family, but with my family, even if it's just me and my wife, or if it's me, my wife, one or both of my sons, we're saying, okay, you play me one. Okay, now you play one, and it's so easy to switch from one person's phone to the other when it's over Wi-Fi. And so we have, I don't know what to call it, sort of, oh, this is my favorite song. And then pass it to the next person. Oh, this is mine. And we have it's kind of the way we interact, maybe because we're musical nerds.
Yeah. Here's a quick one from Neil S., also on Prime Wireless Pro. He wants to know if there's a longer connector cable available for them. And the answer is yes. Just reach out to Ed's team. I believe we have 15 and 20 feet in addition to the standard 10. So just reach out to them and they'll give you the details on getting that longer cable so you can create a little bit more separation. So I think we have, there you go, Larry. Time for maybe one more question here. Let me find a good one. Well, we have a sorry, I should have had one loaded up here. Wants to know with SoundPath isolation system, if there's a difference on ceramic or concrete, or if the flooring actually makes a difference when running the isolation system on a subwoofer.
Well, the target flooring system for the SoundPath subwoofer isolation is a wooden floor over an open space. If you stomp your foot up and down on a wooden floor over a basement, the whole house booms and you can hear it resonating. Whereas if you had a concrete slab, if you stomp your foot up and down, you just get a sore foot. You don't hear anything. So you really want to control the resonance of a suspended wooden floor over an open space, because that's going to create what we call floor boom and also buzz and rattle in the room. And the SoundPath isolation system really isolates and decouples the subwoofer from the flooring and really minimizes floor boom and buzz and rattle and cleans up the bass.
I have never had a situation where the SoundPath subwoofer isolation system didn't improve the sound of the subwoofer, except if your home is on a slab and your system is in the basement, which I have one. My best system is in the basement. I don't have, and believe me, I could easily put the isolation system on my SB16 Ultra. I didn't, because it really doesn't need it on that concrete slab. But everywhere else in my home, there's a benefit.
Yep.
Well, we don't endorse gambling here, but I wanted to do a quick sports question because March Madness is starting. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Yeah. Do you have a pick for who you think is going to win the NCAA tournament? David S. wants to know, good friend David S. And I will just throw out the UNC North Carolina Tar Heels. That is my team that I'm rooting for.
What a daring pick that is.
Yeah, way to go super generic, dude.
Yeah, well, whatever. James Madison is, not favored this year. And I think, or George Mason, were they the ones who made the Elite Eight a couple of years ago? Hey,
we already had an upset today, Nick. Right? Number 6 seed got knocked off.
I haven't even watched the games. It's been such I might have picked UNC could be eliminated for all I know, but that's who I'm rolling with. So I will go to you next.
This is the worst year for the Washington, D.C. area in many years. UVA just lost, so that's it. I think James Madison is in it, but I'm going to predict my one prediction. I'm not really following it, so I will predict it will not be a team from the Washington area where I live.
Bold.
And I bet I'll be right.
All right. Larry, you looking at your bracket?
I always root for the Zags.
I can't stand watching college basketball because those dudes are only there for like 6 months. But the,
There we go. This is Larry. This is
tournament I will watch.
Of course, Larry's going to say
I didn't
that.
ask for a rant. I asked for a pick.
No, but I think I'm with you on UNC. Baylor's probably up there too.
Right.
Arizona possibly, but
don't take your betting advice from a bunch of audiophiles. That is,
Right.
I'm waiting on
not
the
gonna
good
be
comment.
that's your first
I'm gonna
mistake
go watch
right there.
Luca tonight. So.
All right. Well, we do have one more giveaway before we get there. We'll be at the Montreal Audio Fest this weekend. So if you make it up to Canada and you want to visit us, we'll be there. We're going to be announcing our playlists on our social media feeds later this evening, so you can check those out. Smith Freeman, our chief designer, and I will be on the Brightside Home Theater podcast tomorrow night. And we have this little product launch thing happening next Tuesday, March 26th. So be checking out our site for the full details. And then our next happy hour will be April 4th. And we've been seeing your questions. We've been copying them down, so we'll be able to address anything you want to know about the new speaker series. And they'll actually be out in the wild at that point too. So we're very excited. Final giveaway of the evening is a ported PB1000 Pro subwoofer with a SoundPath subwoofer cable, and the winner of that is Jason McDonald.
Yay,
Jason, you got yourself a new subwoofer. We'll get your information and ship it out. So catch us in Canada. We'll see you April 4th. We appreciate all the comments, tons of energy today. Thank you to Liz Smith from Exponent also for ponying up those tickets. We'll be giving those away over the next few days. Gentlemen, happy listening to you and happy listening to everyone in our community.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.